live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Huge news. Dylan Round's body was found. I am in complete shock right now. I see a lot of people in here that have been with me a long time, especially during the Dylan Rounds case. For those that are kind of newer to the channel or don't know, I was out there searching for Dylan Rounds since day one. The last year we weren't out there just because I think the family kind of wanted to do their own thing, and we always wanted to respect that, so we searched for other missing people. But we'll go over the article, we'll go over the timeline. I've got tons of behind the scene footage. The last time we went out there, I was out there with Texas EquiSearch. Was it 2022 or 23? I think it was 2022. I think it was October 2022. Gosh, it feels like yesterday. Anyway, it's crazy. So I've got tons of behind the scene footage. I don't know if I'm going to show a lot today because I still want to kind of be respectful, but I'm so glad for the family. I know you're sending your loves and prayers to me. Thank you. Be honest, in my opinion, it's a day to celebrate because I've spent a lot of time with that family, and the frustration they've gone through, it's crazy. And I don't know exactly where he's found. We could talk about some possibilities of where he was possibly found. I've heard some things, but I don't want to say for fact until there's actual articles out, just in case the family's watching. I don't want to put any misinformation out there. I just want to say I'm just so happy for the family because the last time I spoke with Candace, she found out that Brenner was having trouble with the lawyers and everything was going to be pushed back, and it was so tough on them. But one of the things that they were trying to do for a long time, because this is such a vast area of where he went missing. For those who aren't familiar, I will show the area. That without like proper leads and clues, you really needed the person that was responsible to help, which was obviously this piece of crap, James Brenner. And one of the things they wanted to do was offer him, because there was a reward on the table for the longest time, and decided to pull back that reward because they were going to use some of that reward money to offer to Brenner for his books and say, hey, look, you come forward, tell us where the body is, we'll kind of make your life comfortable, even though you're going to be spending the rest of your life in prison. At least, you tell us where the body is, we can at least help you out with that. So, Nate Eaton reported near the Nevada border. Yeah, I have a pretty good idea of where he may have been. I don't know for sure, and like I said, I'll just kind of show you guys in a general area. But yeah, this is amazing. And what's also crazy is on top of this is this weekend, for those, like I said, are new to the channel, we don't only just cover true crime, but we actually go out and help people. Dylan Rounds is one of them. He was the first. And there was another boy that went missing, same age. They look the same, brown hair. And that's Aiden Clune right here. And he actually went missing before Dylan, just about a month prior to Dylan Rounds, on April 27th of 2022, whereas Dylan Rounds went missing just about a month after that, almost exactly a month after Aiden. Now, they're not related in any way, but they're where they went missing is pretty close. As you can see, it's Wells, Nevada right here. And where Dylan Rounds went missing was in Lucin, Utah, and that's on the border of Utah and Nevada, right close to Wells, which is kind of wild. So anyway, to me, I think this is awesome because maybe this will bring some good juju for our search for Aiden Clune, because this is going to be the third year searching for Aiden Clune, my second year, and we're going to be going out there the 13th and 14th. So. And we just got a new drone, so super stoked. So let's look at the article, and then we'll go over his timeline. Like I said, I've got a little bit behind the scene footage that I'll show, but I've got a lot more that I'll probably show in the coming days. But let's look at the article first here. So, body of Dylan Rounds found in remote Utah desert. Now, for anybody, I know there was kind of some commotion going on, beginning or late last week about a body found in the Willard Bay. I don't know if you guys heard about that. That was not related. I knew right away. I know Nate Eaton had reported that it could possibly be him, but just because I'm from Utah, I knew that was too far away. I mean, it's when you look at it from afar, it's possible, but I knew he wouldn't be in Willard Bay. We kind of had an idea of the area he'd be in. There was kind of like two main areas that we were had an idea that he could be. Anyway, so I'm going to read this report, and then we'll get into the timeline and everything. But body of Dylan Rounds, a man from eastern Idaho, was missing for nearly 2 years, was recovered today. In the remote part of northern Utah near the Nevada line. According to his family, Rounds disappeared from his farm in the desert town of Lucin, Utah over Memorial Day weekend in 2022. The 19-year-old spoke with his grandmother on the phone before he vanished, and we'll go over that. And after that, he was never heard from again. His family has spent the last 2 years searching for answers. Candace goes on to say, "We thank everyone for their support and love. We are grateful now we have Dylan's body and can bring him home as we continue to fight for justice." Person responsible, this piece of crap, James Benner, charged with aggravated murder and desecration of a human body in connection to Round's death. He led authorities to a location of the young man's burial site Tuesday morning as part of a plea agreement. So he had court coming up. So I'm so glad they've been trying to do this. They've been trying to do this for, gosh, it seems 2 years now. Trying to get Brenner to, do a plea, and and I'm so glad he did, because where he went and where his body was disposed of, it was in such a remote area. They had some decent leads, but the odds were stacked against him. The FBI assisted the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office by processing the area for evidence and recovering the remains. The remains are in the possession of Utah Office Medical Examiner for confirmation of identity. Our hearts go out to the family of Dylan Rounds. We offer our sincerest condolences for the loss of their family member. So there's James Brenner, who walked out of court last year. He looked like a sad, pathetic piece of crap. Looking like, feel bad for me. I'm just an old man. But this guy is something else. This family offered this guy a lot, a place to live, to work, and he repays by taking their son's life. It's absolutely tragic. So I'm going to play video so I can get to chat. We've got, oh my gosh, we're going to get about 1,000 people in here. Like I said, we'll go over the timeline here in just a minute. There's so much, I don't even know where to start, but we'll probably do the timeline. But I'll play this video so I can get up to chat for a minute. And then I do have some behind-the-scenes footage that I've literally been sitting on, because the last time we went out there, we were out there with Texas EquiSearch, and we didn't want to give out the location of where we were looking. We always wanted to respect the integrity of the case. And that's why I didn't go searching this last year. But it's crazy. Again, the first weekend that we were searching, the first weekend he was missing, we were standing within 10 feet of his phone. The phone that they recovered was Dylan Round's phone. This phone went on to, when they recovered it, they were able to recover a video that basically showed Brenner cleaning his shirt and gun. He had blood on him, basically showing that this is damning evidence, which basically showed that he was the one responsible for Dylan Round's murder. So anyway, I'm going to play this little video. This is kind of just all the stuff we've done throughout the 2 years we searched for him, and then we'll do the timeline, and then like I said, we got the upcoming search, which is, I think, they found Dylan Rounds. maybe we can find Aiden Clune if he's out there. And I saw somebody in chat wondering if that was Aiden Clune in Willard Bay. No. Once they identify that body, I'll put it out there, but I can guarantee you that it's on the other side of Utah. Not on the other side, but it's way off. So this was a collage of footage from week 1, week 2, and week 3 that we were out there. And we got, hours of drone footage. This is the sun tunnels, which was by the grain shed. So this is for anybody that's not familiar where the area that he went missing. This is what it's like. Thank you, Love Teeny. Good to see you, Lady M.
What's up, Mob Crew?
Oh, let me just skip this.
Also, today.
Good to see you, Remy. Good to see you, Anna. Thanks, Tracy. This was in the town of Monticello, or Monticello? I think it's Monticello. This is kind of the last where he would go into town on the Nevada side. This was the trailers we had found on the second week. Now these are interesting. These were kind of important because the thing that we flew over was this giant wash. And for anybody that doesn't know what a wash is, think of what a canyon is, or like the Grand Canyon, but on a mini scale. It's basically where at once a river water flowed and now has dried up and caused this wall. And so there's these giant long washes, some run for miles. Anyway, there's these trailers that were on the other side of this wash that the first time we went out there, we met up with some of the friends of the family who had ran into this trailer on their last day of search and was like kind of freaked out by it. Anyway, long story short, we wanted to find it, but it wasn't actually the trailer that's interesting. It's what we flew over, which is the wash, and I'll get to that here in a bit. But that was kind of more important. But we had no idea what may have been in the wash. Just gonna turn that down. Good to see you, Mel. Oh, that's awesome. Good to see you, Knowing Smith. There's so many in here. It's awesome. Good to see you, Lily. Thank you so much, Fuza. So this wash is something that we flew over the second time we went out there. This was the second week that he went missing. And this, let me turn down the music, I'm sorry. This wash was very interesting. We would find out much later. For anybody that remembered the Heavy D Sparks video, and I'm going to pause it right there because that's a perfect shot. If you guys remember, anybody that saw that regarding the Dylan Rounds case, because they went out there and they brought out the helicopter, they had flew in a wash. Well, it happened to be this is the same wash that they flew in. We didn't know that at the time. We were just interested in the trailers that were across from the wash. Or we would have flown up and down this. But they had thought that the tracks that they saw were kind of interesting, and it may have been Dylan Round's truck used by James Brenner to perhaps deliver his body, to hide his body in this wash somewhere. And it seemed like it was fresh tracks, as you can see. And they noticed that what looked like it was fishtailing a little bit. Unfortunately, we're not flying up and down because we're just flying across to these trailers. But apparently, you can kind of see it in the Heavy D Sparks video, but you can kind of see where if it was the truck, Dylan Round's truck, we don't know for sure. I'm sure we'll eventually find this all out. But it was apparently fishtailing, and the truck, it had four-wheel, but the four-wheel didn't actually work. Whoever was driving it thought it did because they put it in, but whoever put in the transmission had messed something up, and so it wouldn't allow the four-wheel to actually go in. So they were that was a pretty big lead, possible lead, I'll just say, of where his body could have been. Like I said, I don't know if that's where they found him, but I know that was a potential lead. But we'll jump over the timeline here in just a minute. But just wanted to show some people they haven't seen what this area was like and why the cards were stacked against him as far as finding Dylan Rounds on their own. Even with help, it's so vast. This is the road that I got the huge bolt in my tire from. That's the sun tunnels. That's just southwest of the grain shed. This is the wash that kind of sits behind from the grain shed and runs close to the pond. The pond would be very important because they would find his phone. Cynthia Becker, thank you so much for becoming a member and supporting the channel. I appreciate that. Let's see. Is that the person that was found in Willard Bay, Jane Doe? Is that why you're mentioning that? Of course, I don't have my pen and paper. We're going to look at the water hole, and then we'll go over the timeline, and I'll show some behind the scenes that I've been sitting on for 2 years. Sweet Dreams, good to see you. Thank you so much for the $5. Really appreciate that. Right, saying he wasn't in the wash, he was buried. So, like I said, there was more than one lead. And yeah, the other one I'm not going to really talk about because I know those were the two big leads. But that's interesting. I don't want to claim that as... I know you've been with me, Ronnie. Ronnie, if you want to email me, I don't know if you have something that you can kind of put on a pin on a map and I can look at it. I just want to be careful about where I show, unless they've shown it on like another show, because like I said, if the family's watching, I want to be very respectful. But here, this footage right here that you're looking at, this is the pond. This pond is huge because the evidence that they found in this pond, if they had not found this evidence, they may not have been able to do this plea deal. To be honest with you guys, this was huge. And I'm honestly glad that we were told it was searched because we were planning on searching it. And I'm pretty sure we would have probably found that phone because we were told which side it was found on. And we're standing right there. Like, probably can't see it because it might have been in this like mossy, stringy moss. I mean, this is a beautiful pond. It's the size of like a swimming pool, like, your average recreation swimming pool, maybe a little bit smaller. But his phone was found in there. I'll have to go to the timeline. about a month after, I think. And anyway, what was on that phone happened to be the evidence that I talked about earlier, where it showed it was a time elapse video where it showed Brenner cleaning a gun, and he had blood on him. So this was damning information. And the reason why I say I'm glad that we didn't search it and pulled out the phone. I mean, I know we would have called the cops and not really done anything with the phone, but I'm just glad we didn't handle it, because when a phone's in the water like that for a long period of time, and if you pull it out, it'll start to dry up and oxidize the really crucial components for the phone, and it'll actually destroy it, and you won't be able to get the information data from it. So usually if you were to take a phone out of the water that's been sitting in there, you would actually bag it up with water, so you keep it in the same environment so it doesn't do that. Love Tina, your passion for helping others. I admire you so much, Chris. Thank you for your good heart. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, I will check that out. I'll play this video and then I'll look at it and see. Ronnie, was it join the mob crew? Let me look at this. Oh, let me let's see here, Jackie now. That was our third week searching for him. We kind of went out further because they didn't want anybody near Lucin, so we were kind of checking on secondary leads. Oh, let me see what you said, Ronnie. Oh, okay, monsters under... Okay. Here's where I cut myself up. That was fun. Alright, so we'll go over the timeline, and give me just a second here. I'm sorry, Ronnie. Did you send it to join the mob crew? Is that what you said? Might just be a second that I'm not getting it. I'm just going to check my other email real quick here. I knew a couple of leads. There was one that I haven't told. Okay, here it is. Alright.
A rogue? A mighty...
Oh. Is it in this video? Okay, let me play this video.
Druid or barbarian? Want to get OP fast? Get the best build...
I'm Nate Eaton with EastIdahoNews.com. We have some breaking news to bring you right now. The body of Dylan Rounds has been found.
Oh!
Dylan Rounds, his remains have been found in the remote area of Lucin, Utah. Dylan is the young 19-year-old who vanished over Memorial Day weekend back in 2022. He was a farmer. He moved to the desert town of Lucin, Utah, which is in northern Utah, kind of near the Nevada border.
Can you guys hear that okay?
He vanished, and his family tells me that this morning his remains were found near or in Lucin in a remote area. That's all the information that we have at the moment from his family. Of course, Rounds had been missing since May of 2022. The 19-year-old spoke with his mother on the phone right before he vanished, and his family has spent the past 2 years searching.
Sounds like it's kind of low. Let me know, is that kind of low?
Cooley tells me that as part of a plea agreement with James Brenner, the man accused of killing Dylan, Brenner led the investigators out to the site where the remains were on Tuesday morning, which would be today, April 9th, in case you're just tuning in, or you're watching on another day. They got there, they found those remains, and they have been recovered. Now, Brenner is charged with aggravated murder and abuse or desecration of a human body in connection to Rounds' death let me show you just how remote this area is.
Which
That's
we've been
where
showing.
Dylan was farming. That
Okay,
was
I turned it up.
That was his truck. And you can see there's not much around this area. It really was a desolate area. James Brenner, this is the man who is facing those charges. He, again, must have said something to investigators or cooperated or something. We don't have all of the details at this point, but they do have the remains because of where James Brenner led them. This is a spot where James Brenner had his camper. He lived near Dylan Rounds out there. Both of them were in separate campers. And when Dylan's family went out to begin looking for him in late May of 2022, they found his boots right there behind that mound of dirt.
Yeah, and there was a lot of speculation about that mound of dirt. Everybody wanted to know about that mound of dirt. Was he in it? And they searched that. Yes, camper was right about here. If you were to pan right, what is known has been labeled the grain shed. I know they, I forget what she likes to call it. Candace did. It wasn't a big deal, but she always corrected me when I called it the grain shed.
Off. And there was also a shed right by James Brenner's camper. This is what that shed looked like. And within a few days of Dylan disappearing, James Brenner cleaned that shed to the point of how it looks now. You know, it doesn't look very clean maybe to some of us, but he did remove bags out of that shed according to Dylan's family, and he did take...
And for those that don't know, he did that after the police already got there, started looking into it. And that's why Candace was so frustrated, because he had likely gotten rid of evidence that would have been used against him in the murder of Dylan Rounds, and he did it right in front of their eyes, more or less. I mean, they weren't sitting there the whole time, but they were there at times, and they had asked him, what are you doing? And, he's like, oh, I'm doing a little spring cleaning. It's, June? Late May, June? Yeah, June.
Goes to an undisclosed location. And so all of this would likely have come into play if there was a trial. It still could as far as evidence. But as I mentioned, according to Dylan's family, as part of some sort of plea deal, Brenner took the authorities to the area where Dylan's body was, and they were able to find it. I spoke with Dylan's family. They, of course, are a lot of emotions tonight. This has been such a mystery for 2 years now. But Candace did ask me to convey, we thank everyone for their support and love. We are grateful we now have Dylan's body and can bring him home as we continue our fight for justice. And unclear when Mr. Brenner will appear in court again. There was a hearing scheduled for this month, but at last check that was delayed. However, now with the recovery of Dylan's body, it could be had sooner rather than later. I want to...
And yeah, there was issues with his lawyers. What were they? They were dropping him. Is that what I think it was? Yeah, or was it? Yeah, I think the lawyers were dropping him for whatever reason. And so, I mean, he was supposed to... I mean, they're so behind on his case. It's so messed up.
Show you on a map just where this place is, because it's desolate. And when I say this place, I don't mean where Dylan's remains were actually found, other than it was in the Lucin area, but that's a very large area. But this is where Lucin is. If you pull out here, you can see the Nevada-Utah border right here on the left of your screen. And then over here is Montello, Nevada. Dylan went back and forth between Montello and Lucin quite a bit. This was another, if you want to say big town, it's not real big, but the closest, nearest town to where Lucin is. So he went back and forth between these two places. And in the early stages of the investigation, there was a lot of focus on Montello, and then it seemed to shift into Lucin. I don't even know if there's a population count for Lucin, but they do have an airport, as you can see. If we zoom out quite a bit more, this will give you a reference as far as where this is located. So over here is Tremont in Utah, Brigham City.
Yeah, and that Willard Bay. So look where Lucin is. See where the pin is? Willard Bay is like in the middle of Utah almost. It's 3 250 miles east. That's why I knew when somebody had reported or texted me about it. I was wondering if that was Dylan Rand's body. I was like, no. Dylan Rand's wasn't. I'm sure when we find out the exact position, I'm sure it won't be more than a 5 mile radius. 5 or 7 mile radius, not far.
Malad is here. Lava Hot Springs, Blackfoot, Shelley. So it's right over here. And it's quite a distance if you were to fly from Idaho Falls, if you were to drive from Idaho Falls down to Lucin. But this is where his body was found, and this is where family are breathing a sigh of relief now that his remains have been found. So there still are a lot of questions. There still are some court stuff to obviously get worked out, to get solved, to get taken care of. This has been a case we've covered extensively on East Idaho News since Dylan vanished. In fact, here was a picture just at CrimeCon last year. They put up a "Have You Seen Me" poster with all of these nice messages around them. Keep fighting. Love how his parents represent him. We will find you, Dylan. Hold on to hope. And then there's these wonderful photos that his mother has shared with us and on publicly on social media. There's little Dylan as a young boy feeding pigs. There he is on a tractor. He loved farming, was big into farming, big into the outdoors. Fishing.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't really know Dylan Rand's background, he was kind of ahead of his age, very mature. It seems like from that photo, he sat on one of them bad boys and he wanted to be a farmer. And when he got old enough, they were looking at property. Now his family's from Idaho, which he was just showing a little bit earlier on the map. But when they were looking at property, they had found some decent property for sale that was actually in here in Utah, which is on northwest part of Utah. So it's close to Idaho, not far, but still a little bit, not in the same state. But it was a good price, and he was very passionate about it.
Fishing. There he is. I don't know if he's taking care of a sheep there. Looks like he might be. And here he is on a tractor, which, again, he loved to farm. And that's what took him out to that location so that he could begin farming. He was raised in eastern Idaho. His father is still in eastern Idaho, Justin Rounds. And tonight, again, they have the answer they've been waiting for. They have recovered Dylan Rounds' body.
So amazing.
We will continue to follow this story and bring you the latest developments. We have reached out to the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office to see if they have any comment. What usually happens in these types of cases is they cannot confirm right away 100% like
it's his body
the ID. They'll send the body away for identification, and then it takes a day or two to get 100% confirmation. So that might be the case in this particular case, but we will just have to wait and see what they have to say.
Let's see. Anyway, we'll go over the timeline. So he doesn't really say, and I wasn't expecting him to really show exactly where his body. He says general location, but like I said, I was aware of a few leads. And I talked about one of them. The other ones, I need to wait until we know a little bit more. But I can talk about one of them. Let's see here. I know somebody asked, why did he do it? I'm hoping part of the plea deal, if you're going to finally, tell him where the body is, I hope he at least gave him that as well and told him why. I had a suspicion of what could have been the motive, and I know at one point me and Candace kind of agreed on, and I think possibly a lot of the family at one point, on a possible motive, which is really stupid. I'm sure there was probably more to it, but it seems there was probably a couple things, but there was one that may have been like the catalyst. Birdie Marie, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. That is so awesome. Thank you so much. Any donations will go to the search that is upcoming. This is why I'm like I said, I'm sad, but I'm really happy for them because I've been with them many times searching for Dylan, and the frustration, and especially when you're on that last day of the search for, if you've been searching, you plan for the weekend search, and you're on that last day, and then nothing comes up, and you're packing out, and it's just such a bummer. And so anyway, the two mothers, Amy, Aiden Clune's mother, they're obviously friends with the Coolies because obviously they had two boys the same age go missing, literally like 30 miles, 50 miles apart, not far. Of course, not connected. But anyway, we're going out to search for him in 4 days from now. April 13th, 14th, we got a new drone, thanks to you guys. And then I've been putting some work into the car, and I've got a few other things I got to do. So let's talk about the timeline of events for those that are not familiar with it. We did a lot of interviews with Candace on this show. She kind of helped clear up the timeline because it got a little messy in the beginning. It got bad. KSL TV 5 has a map in the article with the location pinned. Let me see. I can give you an idea if it's just pointing lucin or not. Let me see. All right, give me a second, and then I'll do the timeline. And then like I said, I've got some behind the scene footage and a few things I can share, but probably wait on the other stuff until comes out. Dandelion is there any way you could email me the link to that? I don't know. What I found. Skeleton remains. So there's KSL. Let me look on Twitter. I guess probably Twitter may have it. Oh, here's a press release. Okay, let's see what they say. Box Elder. Could have done a lot more from the beginning. I know they were not happy. There were some good people in Box Elder, and this is not pooping on all of them, but I feel like they really dropped the ball. Was it Box Elder? Yeah, it's Box Elder, because Weber came in and was doing much better. On April 9th, which is today, skeletal remains presumed to be Dylan Ramsey was recovered. Remote western Box Elder County area of Lucin. The remains are in possession. All right, we read that. That all looks like what we just read. We'd like to express our gratitude to the deputies, detectives, volunteers, other employees who have worked tirelessly investigating and assisting in many search efforts during the past 23 months. We highly appreciate their diligent efforts. Unwavering dedication and commitment. We extend our genuine thanks for them. Okay, nothing more about that. So far I haven't seen an actual pin, and there's the same one. We'll look at it here in just a minute. See, I don't know if that'll come out right away, to be honest with you. I'm just assuming they're probably putting a pin on lucin, which looks like it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere and could be the spot. But like I said, if I see it, not that I know everything in this case, but I just know from the last time I was out there, the two leads, and I know where those two spots are at. Anyway, here is the timeline. We'll just kind of keep it simple. Sorry, I got to take a drink real quick. So if anybody's not familiar with the case, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about the possible motive. Like I said, we don't know. This is just kind of a speculation. But anyway, Dylan Rounds. So one of the big things was this ride with the stranger, which was Chase, but that was days before he went missing. Unrelated to the case, but although it was made a big deal at the beginning, he had nothing to do with it. Then Dylan was last seen in Montello a few days prior to the last time he was heard of. He had used his debit card at a place called Saddle Sore, which was, what was it, Kurt, right? I forget the brothers' names. It's been a while. Who also, everybody, we're looking at. But anyway, Saturday, which was Memorial Weekend, he called his grandmother at 6:51 a.m. Oops, no, don't do that. Sorry, I'm just waiting for this to go forward here. So he had made 2 calls. He had called, so he had left. So he had a camper and his farm here to the right. And then the famous location everybody calls the grain truck was located a few miles down here, west to the north here. And that's where the grain shed was at, where his grain truck was at, because had the big shed, and he would keep his grain truck in there. And if he needed it, sometimes he wouldn't even drive his truck. He would just go walk across the desert 4 or 5 miles, grab the grain truck, and then go do his seeding and stuff. Because this was his first year to plant and seed and everything. But he didn't get, it's a shame. They were just starting everything. Anyway, Brenner was, they say, squatting on the location. He was in a trailer. And it was kind of a fenced-in area, kind of. But anyway, so Dylan Rounds woke up on May 28th, and that was a Saturday. And just before he called his grandmother, he actually tried to call James Brenner. And my speculation is that because there was a gate, so there's a fence. It's a barbed wire fence, and there's a lot of them in these kind of little locales. And really, you would just lift up the barbed wire. It's got a little hoop over it, and it's got another post, 2 posts, and you would just put the barbed wire hoop over, and that was your gate, your door, to the property. But apparently Brenner had put this padlock on it. And obviously, this is not his property, he's being welcome there, or I don't know, welcome there, but he's allowed to live there at that trailer. And I believe the trailer he was lived in was provided by the family. So there was so much the family did for this guy. Anyway, so he tried to call Brenner, and I'm assuming maybe to let him know he's on his way, and maybe to say, hey, can you unlock the gate? I'm just kind of speculating. And then after that, but he didn't get a hold of Brenner. And then right after that, he called his grandmother at 6:50 a.m. It was a short phone call. He told her that, hey, I know it's going to be raining today, or it started raining, and he knew that the grain truck wasn't in the shed, and so he needed to go and park the grain truck in the shed. He was going to do that, and then after that, he was literally going to leave to Idaho to go spend Memorial Weekend with his family. And he didn't get to do that. Because little did he know, 20 minutes from around 25 minutes or less from the time that he called his grandmother, he would be dead. He'd be murdered. And I'll explain what happened here in just a second. Smile now, cry later. All I can say is thank you, Chris, for your phenomenal coverage of Dylan's case. Thank you for your boots on the ground coverage. Justice for Dylan. Thank you so much, Smile. I'll try to get as to as many comments as I can. We've got about 1,200 people in here. I appreciate it if you can hit that like button. Right now we're going over timeline, and then I'll show some behind the scenes stuff and talk a little bit. I'll probably save some more information that probably no one's heard of for tomorrow or the next day. Anyway, let me take a sip. So, calls his grandmother, says, yep, I'm putting the grain shed in, and then it was just a short phone call. And after he got off the phone, we're assuming that he clearly got in. And so let me skip this forward here. And Brenner, who was, they labeled squatting on the property, but he was in that trailer on that property. For those that don't know, Brenner had a previous history. He actually had an outstanding warrant for attempted murder. And I forget what exactly happened. I want to say a chair was involved. But anyway, yeah, he had an outstanding warrant, and so he should have been arrested the day they went out there. But for some reason he wasn't. But anyway, back to the day, Saturday the 28th. So Dylan Rounds shows up and drives into the property. Now, like I said, there was a chain link, and here's the fence. So this is the property. There's a picture that goes to the grain shed here. And as you can see, this is what I was talking about. Now, normally you would just have the post with, a little bit of barbed wire hoop that you would put over this piece here. But from what the family said is Brenner put, as you can see, there's this padlock right here. And Brenner had a horse. And one of the times they went out there after Dylan went missing is apparently this horse, someone forgot to lock the gate and the horse got loose, and Brenner was seen chasing it, and he was all pissed off and everything. So I wonder if this was kind of the catalyst. Like, even though this wasn't his property, his home, he kind of made it. And this was kind of like his front door. And this is kind of speculation, and I know we've kind of talked with the family, and I'm not saying that's what their views are, but we've kind of talked about that as being a potential catalyst to the motive. I'm sure there's probably more to it, and maybe we'll find out, maybe we won't. But anyway, I could see in a potential in a theory that this was kind of like his front door, and here's this 19-year-old who's technically kind of like his boss. And that was one thing that we kind of learned, that Dylan was kind of a little bit pushy. He was ahead of his years. And so did that just rub him the wrong way? And anyway, so then he shows up, probably broke the gate or the lock, went to the grain shed. And then after that was never heard of again. But what happened is apparently after he pulled up from the timestamp, and I forget the timestamp. Let's see. Do we have the timestamp? Let me look at this. It's 720 something. The video that I'm talking about is the video where after whatever happened, he showed up and he was going to park the grain truck in, and there was an altercation here at the grain shed. And they believe that he may have been shot with his own weapon. I'm sure we'll find that out. And anyway, after that, Brenner must have had Dylan's phone, and he went back into his trailer, and I guess somehow when he was either pulling out of his pocket, he had hit the record button on it, and it was the time-elapse record, and it showed him cleaning something, and he had blood on him. He had cleaning a gun and blood on him, and they had the time frame and everything. So this was a huge piece of evidence. And if we go back, we can see that they were kind of able to track a little bit of where Dylan Round's phone had pinged. It wasn't super accurate, but there was a little bit of trail, and that's kind of what led to them finding his phone. Let me pause it right there. Sorry, guys. I'm what do you plan out there? What was it? I forget the name of it. Which is cow feed or something like that, or some kind of animal feed. I think he was growing. I think I would know the name. I'm trying to think of the name, but I can't pronounce it. Starts with a T though. Anyway, so when they went out there, of course, I forget what Brenner exactly told him in the beginning, but he had told him he went out to a barbecue. But when they first got out there, they noticed that, one, his truck was all dirty and looked like, dirty on the undercarriage, but clean on the outside, excuse me. So it looked like it had been power washed, but they knew it stormed Saturday and Sunday. So after Saturday, with him going missing, and Sunday not responding when the family tried to reach out, his family came out that Monday. And they had found his truck, and they found his boots. His boots were found by the dirt mound, not far from the grain shed. They were just kind of tossed together. There was early reports and speculation that there was blood on them, and that ended up being true. It actually had not only Dylan's blood, but it actually had Brenner's DNA on it, which is huge. Brenner claims he found those boots, I can't remember, I think like lying next to the grain shed, and for some reason, this sounds so stupid, he's going to go walk, I forget how, I think it's like 100 feet or 100 yards that dirt mound is from the grain shed. So he's going to go walk out there and throw them. And and they knew that these were his one and only pair of boots, because he wore one pair, Dylan Rounds did, and then he wouldn't get a new pair until he wore those out or outgrew them. Sweet Dreams, thank you so much for the $2. And if I miss anybody, I'll try to get to here. So anyway, so they found the boots, then the truck as well. So we talked about the DNA. The truck was huge. There was many things that were suspicious. One, it had all this gunk on the undercarriage, in the wheel wells and stuff. But on the outside, it was clean for the most part. And it was power washed. And he did have a power wash there. They noticed the seat was pulled all the way forward. And I think that was done on purpose to make it look like it was some short person. Brenner isn't tall by any means. And I forget the height he is off the top of my head. But they noticed the seat was pulled all the way forward, which they knew that wasn't Dylan Rounds. And they also noticed that it was switched to 4L. And they knew Dylan Rounds would never do that, because that means four-wheel drive. And the four-wheel was not working because somebody replaced the transmission and did something wrong, and the four-wheel drive wouldn't work. You could still drive in it, but the four-wheel wouldn't work. So they knew that whoever drove this last was not Dylan Rounds, and was most likely Brenner. Yeah, beat up an old guy with a chair. Yeah, it's tough when you start covering other cases and they all start to kind of like, and it's been man, it's crazy. It's still so surreal that this is the news going on, and just on literally, this is what's crazy about them finding Dylan Round's body. With Brenner making a plea deal, is that we're going out searching for Aiden Clune, and Aiden Clune literally went missing a month prior to Dylan Rounds, like 50 miles less than where Dylan Rounds was. Not connected, but and we're going out literally 5 days from now, or 4 days. And the mothers, the families, both families are, close, because they both had boys the same age go missing the same year. So anyway, there's some pictures of the truck. So they knew something was really messed up. And in the beginning, they thought, well, maybe Dylan Rounds had hurt himself and he's wandering in the desert, But they searched and they couldn't find him. And while they're doing these searches, as the days go on, all of a sudden, these items that Dylan Rounds had on him started returning. And one of them was, so they had to break into the truck because the key fob was missing. And so a few days, I forget the timeline exactly because I don't have it up. But they would find, after they go out searching, they come back and they'd find that there's a key fob to the truck. And it's sitting in Dylan Rounds' camper. And, well, they had just searched through Dylan Rounds' camper. And, because obviously when they first got there, they needed to get into the truck. They ended up having to break the back window to get into the truck. Anyway, they noticed that this key fob was returned and thought that was kind of odd. And then another day goes by, or a day or two. I have to look at the calendar here. Then they noticed that there was Dylan Rounds' 40 cal returned. And they definitely knew that they had not overlooked that. And so here you have these items coming back. And, of course, Brenner is just sitting there the whole time, and they had no idea, unfortunately, because, I don't think in the beginning they were thinking the worst. They were just hoping that, he was somehow got injured and being a teenager and would either show up or, was, got injured, on accident. But, so yeah, all these items, oh, here it is. I have the dates. So yeah, one day apart, a key fob, gun returns one day with the mag. And then another day, you got the key fob to the truck coming back. So really strange. But that was Brenner. And keep in mind, this is just in the middle of nowhere. There's a few other people that live out there. We met a few of the locals the few locals that are out there. And I want to say there's like in the nearest vicinity, 1, 2, 3, about 4 to 5 people within a 6 to 10 mile radius, approximately, give or take, that live out in that area. So it just goes to show how desolate it is. Moving on. So then they had, like I said, they had gotten his phone ping. They got trying to get his phone records, and they had gotten this ping. And they knew it was west. Let me pull this up real quick. They knew it was west of the grain shed. And I want to say it was almost 3 p.m. that it last pinged, I think. Like I said, I'm kind of going off some of this information without looking at it. It's been a while, but so here's the grain shed right here, and they had gotten this ping, and I remember them saying it was kind of around this area here. Like they were told it was kind of pinging in this area, which is just kind of approximate location. It could still be, much further. And where they were told was actually not far off and we actually went looking in that area because they said down south of the railroad tracks, just past the wash in this little gully, just before this curve. So it was actually around here that they were told approximately where the phone had pinged for its last time. Well, the phone actually ended up in the pond, so it wasn't too far off. But what they believe is Brenner, after taking Dylan Rounds' life, had taken his truck, and I don't know if he took his truck first or took the horse, one of the two. So we'll go with the horse, but took his horse and apparently walked it, and they believed that he had dropped the cell phone into the lucin pond, and then I think, if I recall, he also let the horse loose as well. So that's, then of course they found the phone. We'll talk about that. But then they noticed that the phone had pinged in a few areas, and it seemed like Brenner, obviously it was Brenner, who had the phone since he had been, Dylan Rounds had now been murdered by 7:20 a.m. And so it was kind of Brenner pinging around this area, probably doing some things, ditching, the phone and everything else. And then later on, they would finally find the cell phone. Now keep in mind, we had been out there 2 times at least, standing right next to it. But again, I'm so glad we didn't go into it. We were told that it was searched by a family that was out here. I think they probably saw them out there and probably thought that they were searching it, but it actually wasn't thoroughly searched until I forget the date. Where is it? It'd be 10th, 11th. I want to say like the 19th. So about 3 weeks after he went missing, they would eventually find his phone. And here is our footage, and this would be the first week after he went missing. And the phone was literally found just right there. It's kind of wild. Yeah, Lori. Yeah, he had already had red flags around him. Yeah, Brenner. Yeah, they should have arrested him second they went out there. That's why Candace was so frustrated with, some of the law enforcement out there. She said not all were bad, but they just didn't have any urgency. And then, of course, if they would have done a background check on Brenner, they would have uncovered his outstanding warrant and a lot of this evidence, because I'm leaving a lot of stuff out because there was a lot of stuff that because we've interviewed Candace a bunch of times and know a lot of details. But throughout those weeks that he'd been missing, of course, Brenner was cleaning out the grain shed, probably throwing away crucial evidence. It was really messed up. Rose, Alaska, thank you so much for the Canadian $5. I really appreciate that. Hope you're doing well. Marissa, hello, I'm happy Dylan's found. In my opinion, about that he wanted to park his grain truck, looked like there were stalls and a pit inside the barn. There might have been room for Dylan's grain truck. Inside the barn the grain shed. I think I'm understanding. Yeah, the grain shed is where he had his little grain truck. I don't know why. Did this freeze? Oh, there we go. Which we're going to see here in just a minute. This is most of this footage, or actually all of this footage, is our part of our drone searching. This is after they had arrested Brenner. So they would eventually arrest Brenner. Brenner had weapons, and he was storing them at a neighbor's. And I'm not going to bring up his name because some people suspected him. Say Don. Don't put his full name in the chat because they never really knew if he was really the only other friend of Brenner's out there. And yeah, he did. I don't know if he helped conceal the guns, because he did tell the FBI that he had these guns. So he did come forward about that. But there was some speculation that he may have had help from this Don guy. But, there was never really any evidence of that other than just kind of speculation. But so FBI would find out about that from Don, that Brenner had him store all these guns. They found that out. They were able to arrest him on that. It wasn't till after they got the phone and they were able to recover the data from it that showed the time-elapsed video of Brenner cleaning a gun and had blood on him, that they were able to actually press charges in the case for Dylan Rounds. Let's see. So I'll talk a little bit. Let's see here. I get to chat. I'll show a little bit behind the scenes. There's Candace. So as I said early in the show, remember I told you guys that they believe Brenner had drove into this wash. This was a potential lead that they had thought Dylan could have been in this wash. And if you look at it, I mean, just looking at this right now, doesn't this look like he's kind of... Now, he's in the helicopter right now. But this almost kind of looks like he's at the Grand Canyon. If you just kind of took a quick look at it. Because that's kind of what this wash... It's like 3 miles long. Kind of forks out, too, as well. But they had noticed there's this trail, this tracks... which they thought could be Dylan's truck. And there is one kind of way to get in there, which we never showed on this channel. But we went in there. But you would have to know, you would have to be local and know, like, how to get into this wash, like with the truck or any vehicle for that matter. There's really only one way in at this time to get in there with a regular vehicle. And it'd have to be kind of something that's got some high, elevation. Whoa, is that music? But, so when we went out with Texas EquiSearch, this was kind of the potential lead. There was others, but I'm not going to talk about that. But this was kind of one of the big ones because it did look like those tires were fresh. Those tracks were fresh. Keep in mind, it had rained over that weekend. He went missing. And remember, the truck is covered with all this, dirt and stuff under the wheel well, but it had been pressure washed. So it was clear that whoever drove this truck, Brenner, had gotten it super dirty. So that had meant that he must have done some decent driving. And this would definitely get... I mean, you could drive pretty much anywhere and you would get dirty in about 2 seconds. But they always thought this was a good lead. And they always thought that it was possible because Brenner had even mentioned this. This is one thing, is Brenner had even talked about this before Dylan Rounds happened. And he said... I forget who he said it to, but... He said, well, a good way to get rid of a body is to dump it in the wash and then just kick some of the dirt along the wall. And it would just come crumbling down. And then just through nature, the walls of the wash would just kind of naturally crumble in and slowly bury the body. And you would, it'd be almost impossible to recover it, especially the more time goes on. That's why I said, with the couple of leads that they had, the odds were stacked against him because this thing runs miles. Just this wash runs miles. And the tracks we followed, it never was really clear where they stopped. We really tried to look out to see where, like, the tracks had, like, kind of stopped and turned around, but it's almost like he drove right to the end and turned around, if that was his tracks. Like I said, don't quote me. I don't know 100%, but this was kind of one of the potential leads. But going off that, the fact you would have to know how to get in there with the right vehicle, there's only really one way in. Means you'd have to know the area, and just they had searched many places. A lot of caves were searched by... There was a lot of people involved in the search. Of course, not just me. So many. Texas EquiSearch, I know. Earthworm Infotainment. I'm sorry if I butchered that. And many more. Heavy D Sparks, and I'm sure I'll forget some. So a lot of people are involved, and I wish I could shout them all out, but I know the family was grateful. But anyway, here's some footage with us with Texas EquuSearch that I've literally been sitting on for over a year and a half because, I didn't want to jeopardize the investigation, and they knew that to get in there, it was kind of a secret. But here's just a little bit of footage. This is what it looks like when you're in there. So I forget how tall it kind of ranges. The wall kind of ranges, but I want to say it's like 30, 40 feet, 30, 50 feet maybe tall. And so all you'd have to do is drive the truck in there, have the body in the back of the truck, roll it out, roll it up against the wall here, take just a regular shovel or a stick, and you could beat up on the walls of the wash, and it would just start crumbling down. And then, like I said, once you bury the body, as time goes on, nature's just going to slowly, with the rains and stuff like that, nature would slowly just cover the body more. I'm not saying this is where they found him, but I know this was one of the leads. And they were just traumatized because they're like, how are we going to search? Because he could be on either side of the wash. So, you got two sides of this wash that goes on for miles. And, what do you do in that situation? I know one of the things that they tried to do is they tried to use, sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice. They tried to use special drones because they knew what he was last wearing. They knew that he had this flannel shirt. He had Levi's on, but they're really going for the flannel shirt because it had the black. I think the black in it. I think black and red or black, a particular color. I think it was black. And what these drones, this is why I wanted this drone that I got now that we all kind of pitched in for, and I'm going to thank everybody, coming up. But you can put special like thermal lenses on these, and you can actually kind of see through some of the dirt and pick out colors. And so that's what they were going to try to do, and that was the last time we were out there. We were kind of starting to do that, was scan the inside of the walls kind of the wash. But it's just, the process is not easy. And yeah, it's so vast. So yeah, here's us just kind of getting out. And like I said, we're with Texas EquuSearch. This was an experience I'll never forget. And I've been sitting on this footage for a year and a half because I didn't want to jeopardize the investigation. And again, like I said, I don't know if the body was found in here, so I just know this was one of the potential leads. And it kind of made sense with some other things that I do know that I can't share, but I will be eventually in good time. But yeah, like I said, what side is he on? We tried to look for footprints, but when we went out there, it had already been a year. So keep in mind the track was still kind of there, but it wasn't as fresh. And we feel, fortunately, if there was like footprints or any kind of evidence to lead to one side or the other. Sorry, it's kind of bouncy. I didn't have my stick on me. I just kind of wanted to that looks like you're just kind of in like a little mini Grand Canyon. Like, what do you do? Like it's massive. And this is just a small little portion of it. And there's Pilot Mountain, I think, right back there. So this place was just enormous. Yeah, there was a couple ideas. Like I said, the drone one was really interesting to try to pick out colors through, some of the dirt, kind of scanning through it, kind of pick out particular color of his clothing. That's why, for those that stick with me on my channel and we cover missing, it's always good to know what the person was wearing, the colors. It's huge to know what they had on them, because any of that could be used, with like Riley Strand. What did he have on him last? Because they don't really talk about it at the beginning. But, no family's prepared for that either. So, yes, they use dogs. We were out there. They were using dogs when we were out there. Here's another little video here. Here's me getting the drone ready. This was actually at his farm. Gosh, I was going to say the grain. I wanted to say grain shed, but it's at the farm. A lot of it's been moved. But this is kind of where we camped out at. But yeah, that's a wild area. So that's I miss that Phantom 4, man. That was a good drone. Anyway, let me see if there's anything else going on. Like I said, there's a lot other things that eventually I'll be able to share. But I don't want to. I just want to be careful about what I share. Out of respect for the family. Just seeing if there's anything. I don't know if they're going to actually show where he was found right away. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe someone has. They may keep that close to the vest for a bit. Like I said, I think a lot of people will see something like this. Well, they'll see like a pin and be like, oh yeah, Dylan Rounds was found here. But they're just pointing out lucin. So as we back out, this is the area. It's west of the Great Salt Lake, which is dried up a lot. And we got the Bonneville Salt Flats and everything. Then we got Windover, and then we have Aiden Clune, who literally went missing. Just to show you how close. See it right here. Yeah, right here. Yeah. So we have Aiden going missing here 1 month, almost 1 month exactly, right in here. But it's unrelated. He suffering some mental health issues, sadly. He went missing there, and then this is where Dylan Rounds went missing. So it's not far. I mean, it's still far, but for two boys that are nearly the same age, had the same hair color, a lot of similarities. It was pretty wild. So, again, for those that may miss the beginning, we are going to go out searching for him. And to me, I think, in a way, this is like good luck. Like, if Aiden's out there, what are the odds that we're going out to search for Aiden Clune, who went missing a month prior to Dylan Rounds, and they just find his body on the first upcoming search of the year? So to me, I think that's a sign. That's a good sign. If Aiden is out there, I'm really hoping we find him. Would that be crazy if Aiden and Dylan were found within the same week? That'd be so crazy. I mean, that would be wild. For those that are members and Patreons, I did share something with the Patreons. I'll be sharing something with the members and making a video. And I'll probably have stuff for the Patreons for Dylan Rounds. I could probably share quite a bit of stuff. So probably expect that. Anyway, man. So you have any questions? I'll stick around for a little bit. Here, I'm going to just play this. And this is just, like I said, this is just random footage that we got throughout the 2 years searching for him. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, exactly, Anna. That's why, because that wash, nobody knows how to get into that wash. And even though I showed that wash, nobody knows how to get in there. And I didn't even actually show where it's at exactly. And I don't even know if that's where he was found either. But I just know that was a huge lead, and that was potentially why, if he was in there, why he would, I wouldn't say never be found, but like I said, the odds were just stacked against, because nature would have just continued to bury him naturally. And what do you do? Because what do you take, like a huge machine and dig into the walls of the wash? Although it's not a bad idea, because that's what I kind of thought about. I'm like, God, what about just taking a machine, kind of like a bulldozer, but, it scrapes the side of the wash. But then what happens when you go into the body and the bones and you don't know it, and you start destroying evidence, and, it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Any leads in the Aiden case at all? So, Mary, I don't know if you've been with me. We know where he went into, and we know some of his last tracks in regards to Aiden. Those tracks lead up into almost like the peak of this mountain range, and then they just kind of disappear. So they have leads as far as where he went up into, but just don't know what happened after that. Whether he came out, or was it on the way of trying to come out? Did he succumb to the elements? Because the desert out there, especially in April, May, although it's it's late spring, early summer, desert get hot during the day, but it will drop. It'll drop in the 30s real quick. That's just the desert. And sadly, you would succumb to the elements unless you had, the proper clothing and, stuff on. Let's see. So much trash. Yeah, that was actually a trash pit that we found. That was done on purpose. That's kind of like their local landfill. And that's actually not even in Lucin. That was in the town next to it, because that particular week, I think for like 2 weeks, the family had said, hey, we don't want people coming to Lucin, because it was kind of getting really media crazy. And, we've always been respectful of the family, and, if they don't want people out there. So we went to the town next to it just to see if we could find anything that may have, that looked decent, that may have worthy of searching. So we searched a town next over, but we didn't really find anything except some really odd things like that trailer and little local landfill of garbage. Yeah, Nick is doing good. It's been a while since I talked to him, but yeah, he has his own little business in his name. So yeah, he's doing good. Yep, Dylan was found. Plea deal was made. It was probably his best chance, in my opinion. Not to say they may not have found him, but just so glad, because this was something that they had tried for a long time. Did you find some tracks of the pond cruise? Yes. There was these weird excavator tracks. And that's one thing. I've got to wait a day or two and see what happens before I share any sensitive information that was out there that I've been told. But, yeah. I'll just have to kind of keep it there. Like I said, I will be able to share it, but I just, I don't think today's the day to do that. And then this was was this the first week we went out? No, this is the second week we went out there. And we flew across this with the drone. And when you're up ahead and you fly over this, it moved, but it was actually sitting over the brush. It looked like a body. I mean, it literally looked like a body wrapped over. My heart stopped. I'll never forget that day. And then I had to go out there and uncover it. And I'm like, I thought for sure, I had my gloves on and everything. as you can see in the video. I thought I was uncovering a body, because that was actually found just less than a mile south of the grain shed. I mean, that is literally so close to where, he was last seen. And oh my gosh, we thought we'd found him, and we thought we'd found a body. Oh man, that was, my heart jumped. That lucin pond is pretty, and the film doesn't do it justice. It has such a crazy neon green to it that it kind of picks up in the video, but you have to stand over that. And then it's not just the neon green, it's this moss that is very stringy, and it looks like spaghetti. I've never seen anything like it. It is very beautiful. Yeah, crazy. Anyway, a few more questions. If you have anything, like I said, I don't know exactly where he was found, and I don't know if that's going to be shared right away. I'm sure some people are going to say some things. They could be right. I don't know, but I know you can't release things. How are you feeling? Like I said, I know some people are saying feeling bad for me. I'm happy. I've been with that family. That doesn't make me, like an expert or somebody special, but I've been with the family many times and know that I've spoken with his dad, Justin Rounds, who is just an amazing guy. Of course, Candace as well. They're both amazing. And trust me, if you would want a mother and a father to fight for your whatever, fight for you, those are the parents. Candace, she'll die on her deathbed before she gives up, looking for her son. And she did everything. She knew going to social media was kind of the right play to help get his name out there, and push law enforcement to do something, because she felt like they just weren't doing enough, and they weren't in the beginning. There was a lot of stuff, Brenner got rid of evidence. There was just a lot of messed up stuff that happened. Anyway, sorry, I'm just rambling on. I am a little bit in shock, to be honest. It's crazy. So let me make sure I didn't miss anything. If you sent any PayPals or anything, I may have to get to him tomorrow. But I will share some more stuff. I just want to, be respectful. It's the first day they got his body back. And it'd be interesting to note if there is some confirmation. I'm sure in the coming days, maybe, or later on, we may hear. I won't be surprised if it's in that wash, to be honest with you, because that was one of their big leads. Cynthia, thanks, Chris, for being more than a news channel. You're a blessing to these communities. Thank you so much, Cynthia. And same goes to you guys. I wouldn't be able to search for missing people if it wasn't for your guys' support. I remember the first time I watched your channel, it was the first time I heard this young man's name. You mentioned that you were going to be out looking for Dylan Rounds. That stuck with me. Thanks for all you do. Solar Chef Steph, thank you so much for the $20 and the kind words. Like I said, this is what we wanted the channel to expand to, not just covering true crime, but actually going out and helping search for the missing. And it started with Dylan Rounds. And you guys were so amazing. It was unbelievable. And now, like I said, I'm happy, because I really think this is like, what are the chances we're going out to search for Aiden? Aiden has kind of been attached to Dylan Rounds, for those that are really know Dylan Rounds' case. Like, in the beginning, they thought these two kids were, the two cases were related because they're a month apart. They're right there. Same age, same hair, kind of same look. It was crazy. So, I don't know. I think this is a good omen. And we have a plan for where we're going to be going and searching. I shared that with my Patreons, and I'll be doing that with my members and eventually with everybody. Mr. Beer, thank you for gifting 5 Mob Crew memberships. That's perfect time to become a member of Patreon, because we'll have so much behind-the-scene footage. One more time, I'll show the wash that we were in one last time, just to kind of show you guys. Yeah, they were going to do this deal. They wanted to do this deal. It was literally, trying to think. So just before we did this search with Texas EquiSearch, I think they pulled the reward because they wanted to pull the reward and then use that money to influence Brenner with. Say, hey, look, you tell us where his body's at, and we'll take care of you, because he doesn't really have family, from what I understand. He doesn't have anybody. So they were saying, look, even though you killed our son, and we know you killed our son, you're the man with the keys. If you tell us, we'll try to make your stay as comfortable as possible for giving that out. And True Crime Utah, Gloria, who's also covered this case and gone to James Brenner's hearing. Good to see you. Have you done anything on Casey Bokeslag? He disappeared in July following Dylan, and there's no sign of him. I have not heard of that. I'm assuming Utah? I haven't. I'll write it down, True Crime, Glorian. And yeah, I'm going to write that name down, and I'll have to see about that case. I have not heard of it, to be honest. Thanks, Jay. I really appreciate it. There's been so many people, and I wish I could get to everybody's comment, because I see a lot of people that have been here with me for a long time. And believe me, it means the world, and I wish I could get to everybody's comment. Sandra, thanks, Chris. You're a good soul. Best of luck tracking down young Aiden. Like I said, I feel this is a good omen. I really do. I'm going to check Twitter one last time, see. I can't see them really revealing where they found him, other than the town that he was found in. Because I'm assuming what they probably did is, I don't know if would they bring the family out to do that or not. Maybe they did. I don't know. I'm just trying to think how they'd have gone about that. Because the FBI was involved in it as well, which I believed it was part of it. Yeah, I don't think so, but like I said, I've got so much footage, you guys have no idea, and some other stories that I'll be able to share when the time is right. Just tonight wouldn't be the good time. God, I might, to be honest, the Bokeslag, I don't remember that last name, though. I know I've featured thousands of people on here, so I would think I would remember that last name. Yeah, that's a tough one, but to know where he's at, and I'm sure the deal was probably. Yeah, actually, I'm not even sure what the deal would be, because I'm. Yeah, we don't have death penalty. Yeah, I don't know. He already had another federal. I mean, he was already looking for the rest of his life, because he's not no spring chicken. So the case with the guns would have probably put him for life. Well, not life, but for the rest of his life, and that's not even dealing around. So, so making a deal really wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, I wouldn't say it's not a big deal, but considering his age and everything, I think it's a great deal for the family. Believe me, they were desperate. They were desperate. And I'm just so happy for him. Had to come here as Chris did the hard work for a long time. I did some work. There's so many people involved. Again, I'm just one guy that went out there. Me and my cousin, of course, and my other cousin. So I was actually two cousins. Texas EquiSearch. So many others. But it's just crazy that this is happening, and we're on the verge. I'm literally getting ready to go on the search for Aiden Clune. And like I said, for those that don't even know, Justin Rounds, the father, this just shows you the kind of people Dylan Rounds had. Justin Rounds, his father, while they were out searching for Dylan Rounds, knew that, because last year when we went out to search for Aiden Clune, he didn't really have a great turnout that family was hoping for. And so Justin Rounds literally took time out of his search for Dylan Rounds, took him and a little bit of crew with him, and drove out for a day and a half or something like that, and helped search for Aiden Clune last year. And that's when I was out there. So that just shows you that they have their own son that they're looking for, but they literally, will go out and help others. So, and that's why these two families are going to be connected for life, I'm sure. So it's crazy. Wish we had before and after the wash. Yeah. Yeah. But now that they know, like I said, once I see something and they say this is where the body is, then I'll be able to explain some more. But I have to see, because like I said, there was a couple of things, but I there's a right time for it for sure. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are awesome. No, Steve's not with Aiden. It's just gonna be me right now. Could use Steve's help, but I'm sure in the near future we'll be getting together. Yeah. If you're talking about the families helping each other, I mean that was so amazing. Because Dylan Rounds got a lot of exposure. It's just because of the type of case. It was it was a homicide case, and those always when there's a lot more details to a case. I think we talked about this my last live. There's certain cases that are going to get more exposure because there's more details. There's more stuff going on, especially if there's surveillance camera, persons of interest, which Dylan Rounds' case in the beginning, there was tons of persons of interest. Aiden Clune, it's like he just wandered off. They tracked him for 10 miles and he disappeared, and that's it. And so sadly, it just that's just the way it goes, sadly. That's why I do what I do on my channel, is I always feature a different person at the beginning of the show, knowing that it's likely a little guy compared to this bigger case that we're covering. That way, the first thing people watch or see is this missing person that may probably never get the exposure as the case that we're covering. That's been the whole prefaces of my channel. That was the basis. Thank you for your hard work, Chris, and be safe on search for Aiden. What is this music that keeps playing out of the blue? Sorry, guys. Did that for a second time. It must be a video I got going in the background here. Okay, one last time. Let's see. Anything. Still, I'm just seeing the same reports. Again, I probably will do a video on this. I was doing a video on Riley Strand because there was some crazy stuff that came out with Riley Strand today. Nothing like super crazy, but they believe that there's actually footage that shows him either getting, whatever happened to him. They have the footage of it, but they just need to get a hold of it. And so I was going to do a video on that, but oh man, it's crazy. So, yeah. Again, like I said, that wash, because it runs a mile long. I'll show you kind of the approximate area. It kind of runs this area. That's why they say it's close to that's why I'm kind of thinking it is the wash, because they say it's close to Nevada, and that wash runs almost right into Nevada. And like I said, this is a wash that we flew over on the second week we were out there. Unfortunately, we weren't focused on the wash. We were focused on the trailers across the wash. And had no idea that we were possibly flying over the tire tracks to Dylan Round's truck that possibly Brenner had drove in through this wash. Like I said, we don't know. I'm sure we'll find that out very soon. But yeah, Anna, beware of flash floods when you search these deserts. Yeah, the area we're going to, it's a safer area. Like now with Dylan Rounds, yeah, if we had flash floods, we're in that wash or something like that, yeah, that'd be kind of sketchy. So, yeah, the area we're going to be in is a little bit higher elevation and doesn't, for the most part, I mean, there's always risks. But it's worth the potential reward of finding somebody, or at least just helping. Believe me, just going out there, sharing their flyer, believe me, it means so much more to the family than people may ever really know. So, yeah, Diesel Brothers, yeah, huge. Like I said, many people out there that deserve a lot of credit. So, all right, guys, I'm going to bounce out. I'm going to lose my voice, and I'm still in shock. Again, I love you guys so much. I would not be able to do what I do if it wasn't for you guys. I'll have plenty of stuff at the right time. I don't want to be, exclusive. Just check out my channel. I know a lot of people are covering this story. There's a lot of good channels out there. But I will have some, definitely some interesting stuff to share when the time is right. So, with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you to all the mods. I know when we get a lot of people in here, it gets a little crazy. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Copper Horse. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Dee, Jocelyn, Michaela. I think I got everybody's name this time. I always forget somebody. And shame on me. All right, guys. And I'm working on the pet outro. I was doing that. I was literally getting ready to do the pet outro. Work on that tonight. And then this happened. So I'm a little bit behind on that. So it'll come in due time. All right, guys. We will be back tomorrow. Video and yeah, lots of stuff for you guys. So I got to go dig through the archives.